Hello, everybody. Weird out there. The world is changing, and so is our industry. I recently held a summit for over 4 days where I got to interview some super interesting people. The video that we're going to be watching today is with Leon Alexander. He's a futurist, a blogger, super interesting man whose passion is looking at where our industry is going. There are definitely some changes going on out there. Salons are a little bit slower, a little hard. It's hard to hire. And where are we going? What kind of radical changes can we expect or look forward to? Leon Alexander you're going to find him super interesting. For those of you who've never met me before, my name is Heather Coulis, and I am the founder of Heather Coulis Consulting, and I run Simple Salon Solutions, which is a strategy and a mentoring program for salon owners. You're going to want to hit the subscribe button and make sure that you hit the notification bell. I will be dropping a video every Tuesday and Friday, and we're going to look at all kinds of new ways to do things we're doing already. Memberships, subscriptions, just hiring. There's just a whole different set of rules. So you're going to want to stay up to date with some of the things that we're going to cover. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Okay. Hello, everybody. So listen, carrying on my summit that I've been going on, I've had the pleasure of talking with Alain Odette this morning and Alj Lubo, and today I'm going to talk to Leon Alexander. And if you've never met Leon, you're going to be really interested in what he has to say. So we're going to wait for a minute and see if he is going to be able to find us. But every once in a while, we find somebody else who's looking around the corners also. And I call them my people. And we are just always trying to see where the industry is going to. I'm going to give him a second to find us. But I think that as we start to go through this time, it's a very disruptive time. And if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's definitely taught us that we don't really know necessarily what's going to be coming tomorrow, and how to sort of prepare ourselves with some different and new thinking. And sometimes it is really about being able to shift our own perspective. One of the things I really enjoy about Leon is he's been in our industry for ever. And he's worked with Vidal Sassoon and setting up salons and spas, mainly in the United Kingdom, and setting them up to succeed. And he has a real interesting take on things like, talking to Amazon salons and whatnot. Let's see if I can just find him. All right, let's see. Bear with me, people. Okay.
Hey, that was easy.
Well, I didn't even know I could invite you here. I've been talking for 5 minutes about you. All good things. I know it's been behind the back, but I was thinking that there's got to be a better way. So I invited you. So welcome.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. So I'm just going to reintroduce Leon a little bit. Leon has been in our industry for like a cajillion years, like me. And every once in a while, you get to find your people. And one of the things I enjoy so much about listening to you, Leon, is that you are always trying to see around the corner. And that's kind of a little hobby of mine. Where are we going? Like, what's going on around the corner? And through this pandemic, if it has showed us nothing, it has definitely shown us that we need to be thinking a little bit differently. So you had talked to me about a couple of books that you've written, and you read me a quote from it there a few minutes ago. I would love it if you would just start with that.
Well, thank you. But basically, where are we going is really indicative of where the consumer's going, because any business that doesn't follow the vision of the consumer is not got a good path to go. One of the things I've just written is an article which comes out in 2 days' time. It's about the future of our industry. but it's tied to the future of the country and globally and consumerism. It's tied to technology. It's tied to the vision of sustainability. And I start really with the times they are a-changing. And of course, the lyrics of Bob Dylan's song in the 60s offered a positive feeling of change, along with a call to action by a frustrated youth. They felt they were in a battle at that time. Well, today we face a series of different battles. It's an industry that has less people entering, retaining existing talent, rising overheads, keeping up with technological advancements, and online retail competition and meeting today's customers' expectations are a few that we need to plan for. On top of that, the world, our country, and our industry have all been disrupted, but it's given most people time to reflect and reevaluate what their purpose is and their current business model. When we're busy and in a routine, we tend to spend little time in planning for the future, either because things are going well or because we operate within our comfort zone. We probably don't grasp the huge implications of the disruption because we're still imprisoned by the past. We're all of us, almost everywhere, swept up in the maelstrom of change, which overturns many of the assumptions we've lived with. Today's consumer is in a different mindset than pre-COVID, and they'll be in a different position in the next 5 years. It's time to decide what we want the next stage of our life to be. We need to decide what we value most, what will create more fulfillment, what will produce more impact. We also need to decide on our values and the rules that will guide our decisions so that we have a greater quality of life to contribute to others in our business. We additionally have to ensure that our business initiatives are in alignment to where the consumer's heading. So that really just starts off just by letting you know how I think and how I think things are going to move forward. It's not a case of just looking at your business. It's a case of looking outside, looking about what the consumer's doing, looking what successful retailers doing, marketers and service providers outside, how technology is going, and inject into that aspects of sustainability on a business. So that really just gives you a macro of the heading.
You know, it's one of the things that I've really been struggling with and working towards here, even in my business as a coach, a mentor, a strategist, as I try to help my clients. It just becomes ever more clear to me that they don't need to know what they're doing now and do it better. That if they can't, that I believe truly that by pursuing a better life and by pursuing a better community and by pursuing the things that are right and that are good, strong, or values, that your business will naturally be elevated. That through those things, life, community, that your business will naturally grow. So we really line up there. And when you talk about the consumer-centric business, it is so true because any owner who thinks they're running their business is crazy. The consumer is running the business right now. And everything needs to really point in that direction. And it is a shift as we look at clients who are canceling because they can't, and they've just become very demanding.
Right. I mean, look, the way I see it, you know, and what I've written is, so let's get personal. First, let's look at the existing model we have and see what's required. Consumers are expecting services and retail to evolve from generic experiences to personal experiences. In order to do that, we need to walk through the salon process with the consumer's eyes. We need to dissect every interaction with the consumer. How can we make the greeting personal, consistent, and excellent? How can we make the consultation more in-depth? How can we make the shampoo even more relaxing experience? And how can we make the service a personal, excellent, and an entertaining experience?
Entertaining.
Yeah, and how do we make retail more interactive and personal? And the last one is, how do we make the exit friction-free and a personal exit experience?
Mm-hmm.
We need to make the sum of the parts a series of excellent personal experiences for the consumer. It's not just about a personal experience, it's about a series of personal experiences. We kind of mystify the idea of a personal experience like it's a dark art. But at the molecular level, all experiences are just an amalgam of content, emotional, physical, and intellectual content. The difference between a generic experience and a personal one is the quality of the content.
Yeah, you know, and when you talk about the customer journey, I mean, we see like there's a cajillion programs out there about, you know, elevating the customer experience and what have you. And right now, I think getting clear on what that customer experience is, you know, and it's not always what we think it is, you know, like having the good coffee and the extra cookie and the whatnot. That right now, for me as a consumer, and looking at your environment, because I have a little article that I've written, it's called That We Are Them. And if we could just even think about the things that are driving, it is not so different than what's driving everybody. And yet we don't really embrace these as our businesses. We're still running them as we always did. For me, a good consumer experience is easy, fast, convenient, when I want it. And yes, for heaven's sakes, give me some fun. You know, like that interactive, I've got a little program I'm running right now in my Facebook group, so I'm encouraged social selling, like spin the wheel live, digitally, and just bringing gaming, you know, to be able to combine sustainability and gaming and entertainment and all of these things into becoming a true experience. There are two salons going on up there. There are those who are sitting around wondering where the people are and then running into them in Walmart and going, we've seen her for a long time. And then we've got the other ones, we've got the owners who are running their butt off trying to get everybody through on their own. And so I think that some clarity on what the customer journey and that personalization, you better know my name.
Yeah, it's you know, you better know the name, but you better know more details about, you know, more in-depth consultation. You know, the things of the past, we just can't operate pre-COVID ways. And pre-COVID, it wasn't that COVID made a difference. It identified the challenges that we had in not connecting with the consumer. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't build a future with legacy thinking. We're about to embark on a monumental journey into the future of our industry. Mm-hmm. And we need to review what place the existing model has in a new business climate. Mm-hmm. If you're operating the same model as pre-COVID, you're already behind the curve. In a post-pandemic landscape, at the high end of the beauty industry, only two classes will remain: the average and the artful. Mm-hmm. That's really the key. But, you know, why is it so important to review the existing business model? Because power has moved from the producer to the consumer. The progress we've seen in the last 10 years will not compare to the imminent future. Mm-hmm. We stand at the intersection of rising consumer expectations, and we're moving from mindless to mindful consumption. We're about to embark on a prodigious shift, change, and evolution of the consumer, and this will have a major impact on the beauty industry.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And I was talking to Alan earlier, Alan Odette with Forest Software, and we were talking about the use of data and the need to have it. And you know, we have some owners who are really embracing that on board, and we have a lot who are still using their software simply as booking systems when there is so much that they could know and begin to do things like, you know, rep targeting and interacting and that type of thing. But I think it is really a matter of taking a relook, because there's a lot who are just like, I'm just going to wait this out. I'm just going to keep on doing what I have been doing, but better. You know, they're trying to improve their customer journey. And, you know, I had a program that I was launching called Upsell Your Way to 100K. And I was going to run that in one of my groups. And I got to thinking yesterday, if a person could give their way to 100K, like if we could just put enough out there and connect a little bit better
than what we're doing right now, like true connection with the consumer, that you're more likely to pull them in than a good haircut ever would.
No, absolutely right. I mean, well, I guess to me, it starts with looking at our business. And in order to look into the future, we need a paradigm shift from owning a salon to owning a business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Owning a business that happens to be in the beauty industry.
Yes.
So instead of running it as a salon, you're running it as a business that happens to be beauty industry. If we accept that and evolve our thinking, we then need to emulate the best business practices of successful retailers, marketers, and service providers outside the beauty industry. I mean, look at what Apple's doing from a retail point of view. Look at marketers like Walt Disney and look at service providers like Michelin restaurants. They study the consumer and build and design their business model accordingly.
You know, sorry, I was just going to say, if a person would,
no, it's okay,
would study that, and my whole gig is find out where they're going and get in front of them. Do you know, like instead of trying to drag them and all this luring that's going on, you know, 20% off, higher commissions, come to, you know, and they're making it all be about this dollar, when in actuality, that's not as motivating to the consumer as actually fresh, new.
No, it isn't. You know, to me, this is a fundamental key of how we look at the people who enter our business. It's the same consumer that goes to Apple that comes into our salons. And for some reason, we think of them as guests. By all means, treat them as guests with the greatest civility possible. But think of them as consumers and implement a consumer strategy that involves maximizing the service they get, but also the opportunity of marketing to them. You see, when we rid ourselves of traditional thinking, we go on with creating the future. An inhibitor to creating the future, in creating additional income other than hair for the business, are the words salon and studio in the title of the new business. If we eliminate those words, it enables the consumer to not just look at the business as a salon, it enables a business to market additional income opportunities like healthcare, alternative retail, juice, coffee, and wine bars that can be collaborated with local vendors. Vidal Sassoon has no additional words outside the salon. It just says Vidal Sassoon. Think Nike, Amazon, Banana Republic, etc. Their names have nothing to do with the products or service they offer.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm just saying that look at that way.
I enjoyed listening to you. Carry on. I was just going to say, service is, people that predominantly think in our minds of salons as service businesses. And so when you go into a service business, you go there expecting that service. But when you go into a drugstore or a supermarket or a Walmart or anything that's a store, you already know that that's a buying environment and you'll just buy like crazy. And so I think trying to, you know, that a person needs to kind of bring the two together. And you had said something really that I strongly believe in, and I might add, I've taken a little bit of flack for, is I'm like, business or teams. Can you have both? You can't hire teams is my thing, but you can build your business, and done correctly, then you create the culture, and the team comes along beside you, which is the very nature of teams. But there's a lot of energy just went into building, you know, the people. I'm going to train them better. I'm going to give them more haircuts. I'm going to give them more education. We're going to get them on board with our systems and our culture. And I think that if they could just build that business strong and be about something and connect with the consumer, that their team will come, and it's more of an attraction than a lure. You know, 60% commission.
Well, as we know, the country and our industry have a challenge in getting quality employees. But some businesses have no vacancies. Yeah. Some businesses have people that are applying and have a surplus of people. Yeah. And so you have to study and say why. What are they doing? Some restaurants are busy. Yeah. You can't get in. Some they can't fill. Yeah. Why? Those are the key questions. Those are the answers. You know, the electronic connectivity of the human race has forever changed the consumer, and we need to design our business models to accommodate that change.
Mm-hmm.
I do not believe you can do today's job with yesterday's methods and be in business tomorrow.
No, and you know, over the pandemic, I think people did start to get in line with the things that truly matter. You know, we got an opportunity to rethink, like, what's it all about, Alfie? Like, why are we even doing what we're doing? The pursuit of money is purposeless, because you get it in and it goes out, and it doesn't matter how much you got going in, the same amount's going out. And it was just a time of reevaluation. And so when you think about what you had just said there, I have a that I work with who just started giving. Oh, there you go. Connecting with the community and giving and doing fun things and doing social things and doing insulin. And she did this during the first lockdown in Alberta, by the way. So businesses were closing and you got to do something. But what happened that was so interesting from all of that is not only did Carla succeed massively with her retail, this was last September, so almost a year ago. During the next shutdown, she had applications because people were looking at her give back. She started doing the BB giveaway and connecting with community charities and doing all kinds of things. Just you're going live in her group and doing all of this connection stuff.
Right. Well, that's true.
2 people. She spent the next lockdown renovating to accommodate the people that were applying.
You know, a goal for the salon business is to have a series and a number of sustainable competitive advantages. Sustainable competitive advantages. Technology is one example. Sustainability is fundamentally key. Because the modern consumer has a myriad of choices, we have to offer deeper than usual emotional satisfaction. The personal experience the consumer gets is the single most factor why they return to the location. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I've been looking back at the history of our industry, the evolution of the beauty industry. About 60 years ago, our industry evolved from shampoo and set to wash and dry. And we have Vidal Sassoon to thank for that. Nothing revolutionary has happened since. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's been an addition of retail. We've evolved from service to an experience, but it's been one small step for the salon. We need to take one giant leap for the industry and further evolve from a generic consumer experience to a personalized one. And technology can support that objective. Let me be clear. The future is not about technology. It's about an alluring cocktail of touch and tech, touch and digital content. Technology should complement and enhance the personal experience of the consumer. It should benefit the service provider, benefit the salon business, and wherever possible, be sustainable. Salons are traditionally designed around a service business today. They need to be designed around the emotional needs of the consumer, accommodating the functionality of service. And that's exactly what Apple stores do.
Yeah, and when you're talking about like those little things that we have in our industry, and how right now it's all about how to grow your business and do this to grow your business and do that to grow your business. Where I believe this is a time of transformation, which is what I'm always about, like not these incremental growths. That we have these times of chaos is that create opportunity that is completely, oh my gosh, this is when heroes are born. And when you talk about Apple, one of the things that's most interesting to me when I study and look at different businesses, you look at Apple, you don't ever see it on sale. There's a standard and an allure and an experience that you expect to have happen. You expect them to be first to the market. But one thing I really, really love about watching some of those businesses as they establish themselves is their sustainability. They don't discount this,
There are pioneers who've done phenomenally well in and out of our industry. But it all starts with a vision. 17 years ago, who would have thought a single service of waxing would produce sales of 700 million? European Wax Center had that vision. 11 years ago, who would have thought a single service of blow dry would be sustainable to build a company that sold for 255 million? Drybar had that vision. 8 years ago, who would have thought a single service of color would achieve 100 million in sales? Madison Reed had that vision. And 5 years ago, who would have thought your bank would be in the same location as your pharmacy? Walgreens had that vision. Now, Heyday Skincare are emulating a single service franchise concept. We have to be bold and step outside our comfort zone.
Yeah.
The electric light didn't come from the continuous improvement of a candle.
Yeah. And you know, it's difficult. It's difficult to do that. One of the things I have always come across in my life, because I'm always looking around the flipping corner, like what is coming. So lots of times when I would come and deal with my clients or my salons, I go, oh, you know what you should do? And they all look at me like I've got a horn growing out of my forehead, because usually there's not a model to follow. I'm like, do this because it's this, do this and this and this and this. This should happen, right? And then they go, oh yeah, that sounds great. And I go to the prayer closet because I can't find a previous model, right? And so it takes a certain amount of boldness, and a certain amount of risk, and a certain amount of just like faith. And so when you're looking at the way that things are going, I mean, there are always going to be your settlers, and there's always your pioneers, you know, the ones who kind of got there first. And there's so much to be said for getting there first. You know, you think about Netflix when they came out of I mean, they offered to buy Blockbusters for $50 million, and Blockbusters laughed at them because it was a new model that they thought was absurd, until they declared bankruptcy in one single year. And now Netflix as a streamer, we don't think about anybody but Netflix when we think about streaming.
It's your first one.
Right? There's value in being there first, but so much risk in being there first. But I do think that businesses like that are built on vision. They're not built on incremental growth. Incremental growth is what you use to try to catch up to those who had the vision just a little bit different.
Yeah, you're right. You know, there's two things. There's having an effective vision, and there's implementing that vision.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of smart people with visions who've never really taken that through. And to me, the fundamental key is the strategic blueprint. A strategic blueprint has a compendium of different attributes. For example, on the first column, what is your core purpose? What is your sustainable competitive advantage? What is your vision? What is your mission? The next one I would have is what are my resources? What's my financial resources? What's my technological resources? What's my human resources? And then I have, well, what are my initiatives? What is it I want to achieve? I've got 3 or 4 initiatives. And then the next column is, what are my strategies to ensure that my initiatives are going to be implemented? And finally, which is equally important to anything, what are my key measurements? And how do I know that I'm achieving this initiative is being successful? And as you look at your P&L every month, you should be looking at your strategic blueprint to make sure you're in alignment with where you're going and what your vision is. And that strategic blueprint should be in alignment of where the consumer's going. Because there's no point having a vision and working the vision if it's not in alignment where the consumer's going to be in 5 years' time.
Yeah, and that is really so important. One of the things that I've been doing right now is, as I try to sort of formulate the ICANN Academy in January. And I keep thinking that I'm like, I want to talk about this. I want to teach this. I want to do that. And I put out all of these ideas with no takers because I need to meet them where they're at. Do you know what I mean? You still need to meet where your audience is at.
Right. No, I understand.
Right. And so it's for Salon to think that they know what the consumer wants. And until they actually do some testing, steps, and a few risks, they will never really know until they do step outside that box and try that unique, weird thing. I think everybody who's had a shower has had a good idea. And you're in there and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this would be so great. And then by the time you get in there and you towel off and the phone rings and the dog pukes on the carpet and the day starts taking on its legs, by noon, you have already destroyed that idea with all the reasons it won't work. And by 6 o'clock, you've forgotten about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change, we need to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And to me, it's time for a new business model, one that has technology, wellness, and sustainability as part of the vision. You know, we talked briefly on sustainability, but the salons that get that right, when salons don't engage effectively on their sustainability efforts, they miss opportunities to differentiate themselves from other salons. Rather than gaining a competitive advantage, they leave the financial value of sustainability out of critical conversations. The question is, are we prepared for the next 10 years of consumer evolution? Throughout history, pioneers have driven a path to new vistas in uncertain times. This isn't a time for staying in a comfort zone. This is a time for a clear, concise application of a vision that is consumer-centric and profit-centric.
Yes, it is totally true. So what would you say, what would you say would be like a first step for salons if they were just like thinking, you know, because there's a lot of this conversation about the news and this is happening and you got to get your data and you got to get your customer experience right and you got to do that and there's no point in retailing, Amazon's got it, and you know, and so it's just so much, you know, like.
Well, I think you need to break this into segments because if this is a new business with a clean piece of paper, it naturally is much easier to design the vision that's consumer-centric. If you are in a destination location with 1,600 square feet, it's a little different. So there isn't an answer that would be appropriate for everyone. But the answer is this: whether you have 6,000 square feet or 1,600 square feet, the vision and the objective is to maximize the potential of that business. So if you've got 1,600 square feet, you can't do what you can do in 6,000 square feet, but you can maximize it. So instead of saying, well, let's take the business to the next level, I'm not sure what that means. Instead of saying, let's increase our business, I don't want to do either of those. I want to maximize the potential of a business. And what that means is look at the square footage, look at what is the services that give you the greatest return on investment? What's the occupancy of that? What's your average ticket? So, you know, if you actually work out the cost plus your average ticket on an 80% occupancy, you can say, okay, so that really is a goal that is reachable. And of course, different size businesses could do the same. You know, the evolution into a new business model doesn't change core primary salon objectives. We naturally should continue to ensure we perform the highest standards of hairdressing and offer immaculate service. But to me, that's a basic given.
Mm-hmm.
But when you choose to build a new salon, you need to think of it as a stage in which a wholly unique story will unfold. The more authentic and organic that stage is, the more people will be drawn to it. The stronger the sense of place it embodies, the more inclined people will be to gather there. You know, our thinking's changed. The pandemic has changed people's priorities.
Yeah.
But what if we looked at COVID not as a catalysm, but as a catalyst?
Mm-hmm.
What if instead of retreating to normal, we forge a path to something better? Better for business, better for our customers, and more sustainable for the planet. As a result, better for our own well-being.
Better for our lives, better for our priorities. And I just think
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We now have a chance to rethink the purpose and value of our businesses. What if we didn't only survive the current situation, but grew in spite of it?
Mm-hmm.
The future belongs to those courageous, and that depends on our mindset.
Everything.
Those with a clarity of vision and strength of will to embrace these opportunities those with a passion to resurrect the new business model with a new way of presenting.
Mm-hmm.
They will be the masters of the new era.
Mm-hmm.
And any salon that adds significant value to the service and retail they sell has a place in the future.
You know, I could not agree with you more. I couldn't. I've tried, but I am finding myself unable to do so. It is always a pleasure talking to you. Now, listen, Leon, where would they connect with more of this information? Where would they, like, I know that you have a blog and that you write about these kinds of things, and that it's deeply in your soul, in your heart, these types of consumer-centric thinking. And where would they reach you? Where are they going?
Well, they can get me on my website, euriscodesign.com, EURISKO design.com. I write regularly for Salon Today, and I can email blogs to anybody that wants to send me their email. I'll just put them on the list and send them blogs. Yeah, I mean, look, let me just conclude by saying that, you know, thank you for inviting me to speak. But, you know, when I talk about futurism, all of us are futurists because all of us know the future depends on us. Almost every successful person begins with two beliefs. The future can be better than the present, and I have the power to make it so.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to evolve, we have to change our form, appearance, nature, character, and thinking. Our challenge is to contribute in building a better world. Every day matters, every day counts.
Mm-hmm.
We need to connect to the passions people have. As we understand people's emotions and as we understand what drives consumers and what matters to them, then we find ways to make markets, improve their world, and improve our businesses. Mm-hmm. We must up our game to a level that maximizes the potential of our business. The future, for those pioneers that implement this vision, is bright. In the fullness of time, we'll look back to realize COVID gave birth to a new generation of brilliant and creative salons.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Listen, I just have super enjoyed this, and I am totally not letting you off the hook. You're going to come in and speak to my group in Simple Salon Solutions Live, and I'm going to promote the heck out of that because I think that this is a conversation and more people need to hear these things. We have a lot of these conversations in Clubhouse, but it's always us in the industry talking to each other. And, you know, to try to sort of bring that message through to the ground, to the people who it matters to, whose livelihoods are on that. I think that they need, you know, you can't rethink about things you know, they don't have time to go and do all the research.
Well, you're right. I mean, look, some of what we're talking about is applicable to any industry.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not just our industry. I mean, it's the way that we think affects the decisions we make, and the decisions we make affect the quality of our life. And it's all down to our value system. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that we need to start looking at our businesses as businesses, and that is going to be a good first step for anybody to start.
Absolutely.
Building that core of their business and figuring out what they are about and moving towards that and counting on the consumers and their people to come beside them. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to put
Thank you.
Everybody out there, if you want to, who listens to this, if you want to just check out the profile in my link, I will have a link to where it will be also recorded in the group. And definitely follow. I encourage you to follow. You're harder to find than you think, Leon, because I've tried. Because I've never thought to look under Eurisco.
Yeah, it's from Greek mythology. It means I believe.
Okay. Hey, that's going to make it easier. Anyway, check out Leon here and give him a follow. And we shall talk to you all later. Thanks for joining, and thank you, Leon, for being on.
Thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Bye now.